Hungarian Folk Tales. The Cricket. Once upon a time, there lived a bootmaker and a shoemaker. They were both as poor as church mice. One day the bootmaker said to the shoemaker, "Let the devil go hungry now, my friend. If we can't make an honest living out of our trade, let's make money any other way we can." So they thought and they thought until they came up with an idea. The shoemaker would lead the judge's 6 chestnut horses into the forest, tie them to a tree, and the bootmaker would read from an old book, as if it were written there, where the judge could find his horses. But all for good money, of course. That is exactly what they did, just as they had agreed. A search for the horses was launched that stretched far across the land, but to no avail. Then the bookmaker went to see the judge and said to him, "How much will you pay me, your worship, if I find you a clue?" The judge promised to pay him 300 florins. So the bootmaker took up an old book and began to read it out loud. Up on the snow-covered hillside, in the middle of the thick forest, all the 6 horses stand tied to a beech tree. That's where they will be found. All the village folk quickly prepared and hurried to the forest, where they found the 6 horses tied to a beech tree. Then the judge happily paid the bootmaker the 300 florins. News of Mr. Cricket, for that was the bootmaker's name, spread far and wide across the land. The myth was that he had a magic book, and nothing in the world could happen that he could not solve with the help of that book. Eventually even the king got word of this and was delighted by the news, as the queen had just lost her favourite ring and had made herself ill with crying. So the king had his royal carriage harnessed with 6 golden horses and sent off to fetch the bookmaker. He even sent his royal guards with it so that Mr. Cricket would come to no harm on the way back. Mr. Cricket felt so nervous that he began to shiver and quiver like a willow leaf, as he was afraid his deceit would be uncovered. When they arrived at the palace, the king greeted him with great joy. The king immediately set about telling him what had happened. "I'll have you know, Mr. Cricket, that if you find the ring, I'll give you 6 carts full of gold." "I'll do my best, your majesty, although I doubt I shall find it." Then he asked the king to have him locked up in a room so that he could think for 3 days. And the king willingly complied. He led Mr. Cricket into the loveliest room and sent him so much to eat and to drink that the poor man was at a loss where to begin. The first day went by, but Mr. Cricket came up with nothing. The second day went by, and the third, and poor Mr. Cricket began to lose heart. So he thought to himself that he would count how many courses he was going to have for the last meal of his life. The first servant came in with the first course, and Mr. Cricket said out loud, "Here comes the first." The servant was so frightened by this that he almost dropped the plate. He rushed out to the kitchen and said to the cook and the undercook, "Oh dear, we're done for. That magician knows we stole the ring." Of course, this was true. Indeed, it had been the servant, the cook and the undercook who had stolen the Queen's ring. They agreed that the second course should be taken in by the cook. And as the cook entered the room, Mr. Cricket said, "Here comes the second." The cook slammed down the plate in great fright and fled to the kitchen. "Oh dear, we're done for. I'll see what he says to me," said the undercook, and entered with the third course in hand. Of course, the bootmaker said, "Here comes the third." The undercook was so scared that he fell to his knees in front of Mr. Cricket and admitted that the 3 of them had stolen the ring. Then the servant and the cook ran in, and they too fell to their knees, begging him not to tell on them and promised to pay him 300 florins each. Mr. Cricket thought to himself that it sounded good enough. Beside the 6 carts of gold, He had them then produce the ring, which he pushed into a piece of white bread and threw it out of the window just as the king's turkeys were passing by. One of the turkeys picked it up and swallowed it at once. Mr. Cricket was thrilled to inform the king, "Your Majesty, I know where the ring is. Have that turkey killed and you will find the ring in its belly." So the turkey was killed, its stomach opened, and lo and behold, the Queen's ring came forth. Then the ring was taken quickly to the Queen. In the twinkling of an eye, the Queen stopped her sobbing and was filled with the joy of the world. The King had 6 carts filled with gold. Then he had Mr. Cricket driven home in the royal carriage, and his steward and a regiment of soldiers escort him so that no harm could come to all the gold. As they were riding along, an idea crossed the steward's mind. He thought, "I'll play a trick on you, you bootmaker magician." So he got out of the coach, spotted a cricket on the ground, picked it up and held it tight in his hand. Then he asked Mr. Cricket, "Well, if you know so much, tell me what I'm holding in my hand." Mr. Cricket scratched his head and finally said, "Well, Cricket, you're in a tight corner now." "That's right," said the steward. "It is indeed a cricket. Your wisdom is endless. Now I know."